In today's lesson, we're going to be continuing our unit on magnets and magnetism as we talk about ferromagnetic substances. And this is kind of a big word, but we'll talk about what it means and how it applies to what we've been studying and talking about. Now, when we talk about ferromagnetic substances, this relates to one of the properties of all magnets that we talked about in Lesson 1. We said all magnets have three characteristics. First of all magnets produce a magnetic field. Secondly, all magnets will pull on ferromagnetic substances. And thirdly, all magnets can attract or repel other magnets. So this is one of those three key properties that we're going to be looking at today in this lesson. Now, as we go through this lesson in this unit, we'll be doing some activities and some testing to learn more about ferromagnetic materials. But it is just important to understand that when we talk about a ferromagnetic material, what we really mean is just any substance or any material that's attracted to a magnet. Now, we can tell if a substance is attracted to a magnet by that pulling force that we can feel between the magnet and the ferromagnetic material or the ferromagnetic object. Now, as we go through our magnetism unit, there's three ferromagnetic materials that you should be familiar with, and those are iron, nickel, and cobalt. Iron is by far the most well-known, the most commonly used, the one that we come in contact with the most. But the other two are fairly common. There's also some less common ones that we're not going to get into in this lesson in this unit. It is important, though, to understand that just like we talked about in Lesson 1, people often have the misconception that magnets attract metal. But in reality, magnets don't attract all types of metal. They just attract ferromagnetic metals, metals like iron, nickel, and cobalt. Now, many objects that we find to be ferromagnetic may contain other things besides these three elements. These are what are called alloys, combinations of metals that can be created. Steel is a very, very common one. It's less rust resistant, so people will tend to use it more than iron. But because it contains iron mixed with carbon, it's still a ferromagnetic material. It will still attract to or be pulled on by a magnet. Permalloy is another example of an alloy that's created by combining iron and nickel. So alloys like these, if they have ferromagnetic materials in them, the alloy itself will be ferromagnetic. Basically, when we're talking about an alloy, we're just talking about metals that are mixed together. It's this mixture. It's not any kind of new chemical compound. It's just different things mixed together to make the alloy. Now, obviously, if we want to test if a substance is ferromagnetic or has these properties, we're able to test it with a magnet. And we'll be doing some activities here in the next few days looking at how we can test ferromagnetic properties and just studying the different ferromagnetic properties of different materials so that we can see what materials will attract to a magnet versus what materials won't. But another interesting thing that we can do with a magnet is we can use it to separate ferromagnetic materials from non-ferromagnetic materials. You see in the picture here, and we'll do a little demonstration of this later, with sulfur and iron. You know, these things are mixed together. It just kind of looks like this dirty, sandy looking mixture, but we're able to extract the iron filings out of the mixture by using a magnet because one of the materials in the mixture is ferromagnetic and the other is not. Now, as I mentioned, over the next few days, we'll be looking at some different examples of ferromagnetic and non-ferromagnetic materials. We'll be learning more about them and learning about how they interact with magnets.